Hi friends, in honor of Letter P Week, I have a really classic children's story to read to you. There's lots of different versions of it, but this is the very first one in the series. It's called Harold and the Purple Crayon, and his crayon's kind of magic, and he draws things with it. By Crockett Johnson is the person that wrote this book. He goes on adventures with his purple crayon. Okay, so Harold and the Purple Crayon. One evening, after thinking it over for some time, Harold decided to go for a walk in the moonlight. See how he's dragging his crayon? It's making marks. There wasn't any moon, and Harold needed a moon for a walk in the moonlight. And he needed something to walk on. He made a long, straight path so he wouldn't get lost. And he set off on his walk, taking his big purple crayon with him. He didn't seem to be getting anywhere on this long, straight path, so he left the path for a shortcut across a field, and the moon went with him. The shortcut led right to where Harold thought a forest ought to be. He didn't want to get lost in the woods, so he made a very small forest with only one tree. It turned out to be an apple tree. The apples would be pretty tasty, Harold thought, when they got red. So he put a frightening dragon under the tree to guard the apples. It was a terribly frightening dragon. It even frightened Harold. He backed away, and his hand was holding the purple crayon. It shook. What's happening? Suddenly, he realized what was happening. What was he drawing? Oh no, water, right? But by then, Harold was over his head in the ocean. He came up thinking fast, and in no time, he was climbing aboard his little boat. He quickly set sail, and the moon sailed along with him. After he'd sailed long enough, Harold made land without much trouble. He stepped ashore on the beach, wondering where he was. The sandy beach reminded Harold of picnics, and he thought of picnics. That made him hungry, so he laid out a nice, simple picnic lunch. There was nothing but pie. Hey, pie starts with our letter of the week, letter P. Boy, he's drawing a lot of pies, isn't he? When Harold finished his picnic, there was still quite a lot left. So he hated to see it go to waste. He's going to draw something to eat it, isn't he? What do you think that is? He left a very hungry moose and a deserving porcupine to eat the pies. A porcupine starts with P too. Off he went looking for a hill to climb to see where he was. Harold knew that higher up he went, the further he could see. So he decided to make a hill. Decided to make the hill into a mountain. And if he went high enough, he thought, he could see the window of his bedroom. He was tired and he felt he ought to be getting to bed. He hoped he could see his bedroom window from the top of the mountain. But as he looked down over the other side, oh no, he slipped. He's falling. There wasn't the other side of the mountain. He was falling in thin air. What do you think he's going to draw to save himself? What would you draw? He kept his wits, and he kept his purple crayon, and he made a balloon to grab onto. Is a balloon what you said you would draw? He made a basket under the big balloon, big enough for him to stand in. And he had a fine view from that balloon, but he still couldn't see his bedroom window. He couldn't even see a house. So he made a house with windows, and he landed the balloon on the grass in front of the house. None of the windows were his window, though. He tried to think of where his window ought to be. He made some more windows. He made a big building full of windows. He made lots of buildings full of lots of windows. Wow, look at that. He made a whole city full of windows. But none of the windows were Harold's bedroom window. He couldn't think of where it might be. He has a real problem, doesn't he? Problem starts with P. He decided to ask a policeman because they help you with your problems, right? So he drew a policeman. And policeman starts with P too, doesn't it? He pointed the way. Point starts with P. And Harold was going. He thanked him. He walked along with the moon, wishing he was in his room and his bed. Then suddenly, Harold remembered. He remembered where his bedroom was when there was a moon. It was always right around the moon. And Harold made his bed, and he got in it, and he drew up the covers. The purple crayon dropped on the floor, and Harold dropped off to sleep. The end. Hey, do you have a purple crayon or a purple marker at home? Or a purple pen or a purple pencil? What would you draw with your purple pencil or crayon? Would you draw something that starts with P? Would you draw yourself or your mom or your parents? Parents starts with P. You have fun drawing with a purple crayon today. Bye.